everybody doing? My name's Last Chance Lentz. I'm one of the writers for Rube Org, one of the organizers for Fan Expo. Look who I brought with me. Amy Acker. Go figure. So Amy, you're here in Toronto. Any time to do anything, or are you just here for the con?
Mostly just here for the con. I went and had sushi last night.
Sushi.
Which is what everyone thinks of about Toronto, right?
Cool, and as we were making our way down here, you mentioned that you've been in town just recently to do some recording for Suits.
I did a couple of episodes of Suits. Lewis's sister, so.
Cool.
As he said, you obviously see the resemblance. So.
Now, I'll admit that the Amy Acker that I know and love is that from Angel. So I want to start there, but let's start before that. You're from Dallas, Texas, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and coming out of there, going into acting, how did that happen?
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to be a ballerina when I was little. Wait, how far back am I supposed to? And I had knee surgery, which is also another interesting story because I was bit by a spider in first grade and paralyzed for 2 weeks during Christmas.
Bit by a spider and paralyzed?
Yeah.
For Christmas, like a black widow?
Brown recluse, they think.
Oh, brown recluse, yeah.
And so then I had all this scar tissue in my knee, and then I had to get surgery, and so I couldn't dance for a while, and I took a theater class, and I was really, really, really shy. And I realized that when other people wrote words and I got to just pretend to be someone else, that I liked talking. But when I have to say my own words like this, I get really embarrassed. But yeah, so then I started doing theater and went to SMU in Dallas and continued doing it there, and that's how it started.
And the big breakout for you?
Well, after college, I worked at a Shakespeare company in Wisconsin, and I moved to New York for a little bit after that, and I got cast in a pilot for MTV that was called Hell House, and I was a really mean girl who was in a wheelchair, and the only line I remember from the show is that someone looked at me and said, "I always wondered how they got the same bitch on wheels." Needless to say, that pilot did not get picked. But I ended up coming back out to LA, and I was out there a few days and got cast in, this is probably one I shouldn't admit. No, there was a movie that William Shatner wrote and directed and starred in. And so I went and made that movie with them, and then I got back and got cast on Angel.
Now, was that a tough process to go through that? Like, when you met Joss Whedon, like, did you see him right at the bat and he was like, "You're my friend"? Is that how it happened?
No, they just had a little scene that wasn't ever in the show that was about a librarian, and I had gone in and had auditioned for Amy Britt, who was the casting director, and I think it was about my third audition that I met Joss, and I think probably the fact that I worked at a Shakespeare company is what got me the job. Because he was having a reading on that weekend or something, a Shakespeare reading at his house, and he was like, "Oh, you do Shakespeare?" And I was like, "Sure." So then we got to be friends.
And one thing that I loved about the character, and actually showed a lot of your depth, was that was like 13 different roles in one, from being this mousy, shy, little girl to this lab scientist to this evil. I mean, is that hard to get into those, or is that just what you do? Like you said before that you felt you were shy, but then you're playing this mean girl. Is that just something that you go into a zone and you're able to pull that out?
I mean, I think that's really the reason why I like doing genre television, is that they give you the ability to grow as characters in a way that I feel like a lot of shows, if you're on Law and Order or something, you're kind of the same detective in season 1 and season 12, but I think that's been the real gift of being in. I've lucky to get to play such awesome characters. Even Root that I'm playing now, I started out. Starting out as one person and getting to change the way that real people do, which is really nice.
And I know that there's a lot of people here who love Person of Interest, right? And we'll get to that, but I want to go back to Angel. A lot of us will agree that it looked like the show got cut far too soon, that we wanted more seasons, we wanted everything. For you at that time, was there ever a question like you're going to open the script and my character is going to be gone, I'm not going to be here for the next show, kind of thing?
Well, I mean, the story, I might have already told everyone this, but when I was, the last season that we ended up doing, Joss called one day and said, you know, can you meet me for coffee? And I was like, sure. And we met at some like random place, but it just seemed very odd. I was very nervous about the whole thing, and we sat down, and I don't think either of us even drank coffee. He drank tea, and I had water or something. So we were sitting there, and he said, well, I'm killing Fred. And I just was like, don't cry, don't cry. And he waited like a really, really long time, and then he said, but you're still going to be on the show. I'm turning you into a demon goddess. That worked. So that was my main scare.
And talking with him and deciding to do that, were you able to morph the character at all?
Yeah, that was what was really cool about it, is that he decided to do it kind of, I want to say maybe September or something, and Allison Hannigan and Alexis were getting married about a month later, and we were all at the wedding together, and he showed up and he handed me some scenes he had written for Illyria that weren't, again, not scenes that ever were in the show. I probably should have saved them. But he handed us these scenes, and then, so, you know, after dancing all night, I went back and read what character I was going to become, and then he had Alexis and I over one night, and in their kitchen they had these really cool, I guess it was mostly if they wanted to have impromptu dance parties, but you could change their lights of their kitchen to be different colors. So we were reading through these scenes that he had written, this was probably in November, like a month later, and he was just changing the lights to be different colors, and when it got to blue, then he was like, yeah, she's gonna be blue. And so we were doing the scenes, and we kind of worked through, he was saying how he wanted her to kind of move almost insect-like. And so, yeah, we got to really play around with it, and then I think I didn't start shooting until January, so I had about 5 months to know that that was coming up.
And the outfit, which was, did that go through a lot of changes?
There's a few really great
I've seen that too.
today.
Do we have someone here? Can you
Oh,
stand up?
both of them.
Is there a few? Yeah, there's one there. Beautiful. So was that all like latex, and did it take hours to be put into it, or was it?
No, it's surprisingly comfortable, right?
It can be, yeah. Spandex and vinyl.
It's not too, it was like a stretchy bodysuit, and the material is pretty stretchy. The makeup was about 2 hours. At the beginning, they painted my hair, and then I was literally I was like, you know what, let's just dye my hair for real. And then I showed up the next day, and we were canceled. So I was like, oh, maybe we should wait on that.
And that's, I mean, as an actress or any kind of actor, it's tough, obviously, to get canceled. Yeah. And so, what was did you decide, okay, I'm going to take some time off, or were you just like out there?
Well, they told us early enough that we still had quite a few episodes left, and he got to sort of bring it to somewhat of a conclusion. And but yeah, I don't know. I think what happened. Oh, I got married after that or something.
Something happened. Been a kid or two in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So, knowing that you can see the end that's in sight, and working with these people that you've been working with for such a long time, tough?
Yeah, I mean, that was the saddest part. One of the like one moment that just sticks out is the end when Wesley dies and Illyria / Fred is holding him. Joss wrote that scene even though he didn't write the whole episode, and he came in and just directed that scene because he was like, this is like a thing gonna happen. And so we were all just crying. It was very sad.
Now, one thing that we've come to learn from Boreanaz is that he's really good with ad-libbing, and is that something that would just kind of take you, like, kind of knock you, or would you just roll with it?
You know, it wasn't that kind of show. He must do that on Bones, is that what they say?
I've heard that too, but I've read that he was doing that. Is that maybe just did it with you?
I think we had to say the words that were written. I mean, why wouldn't you want to say Joss's words?
I think we could all
I
agree.
don't remember there being a lot of ad-libbing, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so.
Well, I think we'd all agree that Joss Whedon is a fantastic writer.
Yeah.
I would imagine that opening up those scripts and seeing the words that he's put in there is just like a gift for any actor or actress.
No, it is. It's really great. It's nice when you're on shows, and again, I'm still lucky to feel that way where you're excited like a fan to read the next episode. So every time I'm like, oh, we have a new script today.
So going from that to Dollhouse then being the next step what was the that was another series that was just ended too soon as far as
Well, we all thought it would be canceled after the first season, so we were really happy that we got two.
So that was a gift to have a little more.
Yeah.
Okay. Then going right to Person of Interest. Now here's it's such an amazing show, and it's good that it's going. But I know you probably can't say this, but I keep on feeling that this season going into is going to be the last. Do we know? Is it?
We don't know. So if you, I recently was doing an Austin television thing with Greg, who's one of our showrunners, and he said they are writing this episode to be an end, but if it gets picked up, then they'll make a new end. So I guess they had something in mind that they wanted to make sure they were telling a story, and then but they feel like there's way more story to tell. So they just didn't want to do something that wasn't, if it turns out that we don't get to do more, they wanted to feel like they were happy with what they did this year. So they've got 13 episodes, and so far they're very action-packed, and there's so much, they're just making every second count, and really, I think it'll be really exciting and good.
Cool, we're all looking forward to that. Just like, I love the antagonism between Root and Shaw. And it just seems like you're either gonna kill each other or you love each other, and is that something that's just kind of evolved as the show's been going? And like, do you feel like that even when you're off set, or is that just?
There's not. I hope. Maybe Sarah feels like she's gonna kill me. I don't feel that way about her. The first episode we were in together, where I was torturing her with an iron, just seemed like a logical setup for a relationship. I think off camera they were all even surprised, because they didn't really imagine that it was going to be something that was going to create a chemistry between us, and it just kind of turned out that way, and they decided to go with it.
Cool. One thing that kind of creeped me out, and I wanted to get your feeling about it, when you had to sit with the 9-year-old kid who was the machine.
He's so good.
Yeah, Oaks, I think was his name, Oaks Quigley or something. So, like, what was that like? I mean, you've got children yourself.
I
the
do.
Same age, at least one
I
of them,
just
right?
kept thinking I must be a terrible mother. Like, you're so good. He was just the most well-behaved. He knew every single line. He was like doing his homework when he wasn't on set without complaining. He's really a special kid, and he was really great. And his mother was there, and I think she used to be an actress, or she was a stage actress too, and it was really fun to work with him, and
That's cool. Would you go back to doing stage acting?
Oh, I would love to do that.
If it,
Yeah,
yeah?
that would be fun.
Anyone knows anyone? Now, with First of Interest, I think one thing that's probably, it seems so relevant with the ideas of the surveillance and AI and this, sentience and everything, is, and it's probably why it resonates with people a lot, especially in this day and age. When you're doing your part and out there, are you thinking about that as well? It's just like what we're living in with drones flying around and all that, or is it just?
No, I think for sure, especially, people kind of joke among the cast and crew that we started out doing a sci-fi show, and then at some point it kind of became reality television. We were like, oh, I read something that I think Jonah had said that they had written an episode and gotten notes from the network like that would never happen, and then basically it was Snowden, and they were like, oh, really? Because I wish it did happen. But yeah, it makes you just more aware, especially now living in New York and the show takes place there, and sometimes I'll be like riding up in the elevator of my building and I'll be talking to myself or something, running lines or something in my head, and then I look up and I'm like, someone's probably watching me on the camera right now. So I definitely feel like, yeah, I know, like you just, it makes you more aware that people can find out a lot more about you, It's really fascinating, and the way that they ended the show last year with the 2 ASIs, and it just makes me nervous because they've predicted so much of stuff that's happening. So now, I don't know, you read things about all of these multimillionaires who are warning us against building ASIs, and I'm like, yes, don't you guys know Samaritan's going to take over the world?
Well, that's great. Okay, enough of me talking. I'm sure there's lots of people here who have questions for Amy, so if you do, raise your hands, please. Yeah, right here.
So I'm a big Multiverse fan. I just recently watched A Hole in the World, and your performance was hauntingly beautiful and diverse. My question is, in your opinion, between an astronaut and a caveman?
I never know. Wait, what was your answer?
Does anyone else want to answer?
I'm going caveman.
Caveman. Caveman's the answer.
Today for caveman.
Anybody else? Yes?
We've talked about how sad A Hole in the World is and how sad it was for you guys to film Fred and Wesley's last scene. So on a slightly happier note, what was it like to reunite on screen during Much Ado About Nothing?
That was awesome. A lot of you probably heard this story too, but Joss, we had done these readings at his house where he just invited really whoever wanted to come. You didn't have to have done Shakespeare. You could have never read it before. You could bring like your uncle who was in town from Tennessee. It didn't matter. Like whoever wanted to come, and there was wine and food, and we sat around and read plays, and usually something incredible came out of it. That's actually how I became Illyria, is from one of those readings. But we had done Much Ado years before, and then after Avengers, I got a phone call that was from Joss, and he said, do you want to make a movie of Much Ado at my house in a couple of weeks? And I was like, sure. And so he wasn't technically, I think he was supposed to be in the editing room, and he had a week off, so they were going to go on a trip to Italy with their family, and then Kai was like, you should make this movie instead on your week off, and so he couldn't really rehearse with us that much, so he would leave their house open, and Alexis and I would go over and run lines and do the blocking, and he kind of, because it was in their amazing, that's their real house that's gorgeous and incredible, but you could really move scenes from one room and through real space. So we would have rehearsals whenever we could, and we kind of rehearsed it like a play. So he just wanted everyone to be ready to shoot whatever we could because we only had 12 days. And so then when we showed up and there was like real trucks and craft service and cameras, and Alexis and I were like, oh, we're making a real movie? We kind of thought it was going to be like Joss on his iPhone or something. Which is probably good because we would have been a lot more nervous about the whole thing if we had known. But yeah, so it was great. And that whole group of people that he put together, and bringing in wonderful friends that we already had, and finding new people, and then everyone it was like this. My favorite part about watching that movie is watching it is what it felt like making it. Like, it just really felt like a party. Except for that, it wasn't real alcohol on screen. There were a lot of times after the end of the day that I always went home because I have children, but I would come back and there would be like 4 people asleep on the couch. And I was like, that's what they were wearing yesterday.
Okay, I see that we have good microphones on the other side, so if people do have questions, you just want to walk to the side, we can use the microphone there instead of calling it out. Is there someone on this side over here? There comes somebody.
This is a question about you being in How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, yeah.
How was it on set with everybody, and do you have any funny moments from them?
Oh, my goodness. Well, Neil is one of my best friends. So the weirdest part was kissing him. And telling my husband I was going to kiss him. But it was great. They're all such great people. And because Neil and Allie were my friends already, we always went and hung out there. And they shot, How I Met Your Mother shot just a few stages away from Dollhouse. So when they were on at the same time, I would sneak over there if I had a break and hang out with all of them. And so it was really fun. Thank you.
Great. Okay, we'll take one over on this side, yeah.
Hi. I'm asking on behalf of AfterEllen.com, where we're big fans of you and Sarah.
Thank you.
And so I wanted to start by asking, who do you think Ruth loves more, the machine or Shaw? And more seriously, if you can just, talk a bit about the storyline of making this awesome.
Yeah. I feel like that could be spoiler alert for season 5. Yeah, I mean, I think even at the end of last year, it was, having to pursue, when Shaw left, and then we were trapped there, and the machine turning it over to Samaritan, and all of that, you really saw that there's a struggle between which one. But at the end, I feel like if the machine isn't winning, or if Samaritan's in control and we don't have the machine, that Root kind of feels like there's nothing, we're gonna all be dead anyway. So I feel like in order to have Shaw, I have to be able to help the machine.
And I don't want to be selfish, but can we gush about the storyline a little bit, Root and Shaw? You guys are amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, over this side.
Hi. So, to go from a character like Fred, who's kind of timid at the very beginning, so I just started season 4 of Person of Interest, so Root's still a little out there, going to the drum room beat there, and to go from someone like Fred to Root, who's this crazy smart hacker, 2 totally different characters. Which one do you enjoy doing most and why?
I don't know that I have like one that I like most. I don't know if this makes sense, but I feel like every character, like playing Root makes me more appreciative of Fred, and playing Fred makes me, it's just so nice to be able to get to do such different things. And I mean, it's really, Person of Interest has amazing writers, Joan and Nolan, and obviously Angel, all of those guys are incredible. So I feel like I just like saying good things that people write. But it's just nice to get to play characters. Root has been fun because it's so out of character for me, and every time I get a script, I'm like, I get to do that? And now, like, people, this year I've got to do some crazy things. And even, like, the crew members are like, can you believe you get to do this? And I'm like, no, this is the best job ever. So yeah, I wouldn't say I have a favorite, but I'm definitely having fun playing this part right now.
Nice, thank you. Over here, please.
Hi. I was wondering if you've read any of the comics for Angel past season 5, and if you have what you thought about them.
Yeah, you know, I haven't, and especially being here this weekend, I've seen such, the artwork is just so cool, and getting to sign the covers, I would love to, but I think there's a lot of them. I'm a little behind. No, I just heard some, people were telling me about them as they went through the line today, and it's really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This side, please.
One of the things I love best about Root is how morally ambiguous she is. So I was wondering if you had any opinion on what Root might be like if she had found Samaritan before the machine.
Ooh, that's a good question.
I don't like that. I don't know, she's so, that's a good question. I feel like she would have made Samaritan be better. No, I don't know. She's such a proponent of the machine, and they tried to switch her over, and even though Samaritan seems to be winning right now, she still is fighting for the machine. So I feel like there's something specific about the machine and about Harold and him creating it that makes her have that special connection with her.